My name is James Pierce, private investigator, 33 solved cases. I came to Easter Island for silence, but silence can scream, if you listen closely enough. I arrived on the last flight of the week. The airport was nearly deserted. A single rusted taxi, one driver. His Spanish was broken, and his eyes avoided mine. The inn had no other guests. Just a woman at the desk who handed me a key without speaking, and closed the register before I could sign in. The island air was thick, not warm, not cold, just heavy. The kind of air that holds its breath. I came here to escape, but the island had other plans. The first night, I couldn't sleep. Wind scraped the walls of the inn like it was trying to get in. I took a walk toward the coast, flashlight in hand. The moai stood in rows, half swallowed by night, motionless, expressionless, until I saw one that wasn't supposed to be there. It stood separate from the others, smaller, cracked, but the eyes weren't stone. They were carved deep in black, as if absorbing the light. And at its base, something had been recently disturbed. I stepped closer. The ground was loose. I pushed my boot into it, soft, sunken, and then the smell hit me. Decay. Blood. Earth turned too recently. I dug with my hands. Not far below the surface, I found a body, fresh. Eyes removed. Mouth sewn shut with thick black thread. In its hand, a torn page from a travel journal. My photograph was taped to it. This wasn't random. Someone had brought me here. I returned to the inn just before sunrise, clothes damp with soil and sweat. The woman at the desk was gone. No lights. No power. Just the soft creaking of wooden beams as the wind picked up. In my room, I spread the torn journal page across the desk. The photo of me wasn't printed. It had been developed. Black and white. Taken from a distance. I was sitting in a cafe in Santiago, 3 days before my flight. Someone had been watching long before I got here. The back of the page had writing on it, thin, spidery ink. 7th sun, 7th blood. Eyes to stone. Silence below. Cryptic, ritualistic, possibly insane. But it wasn't the first time I'd seen something like it. Someone was performing a ritual, and they wanted me involved. I needed answers. The local police outpost was a single concrete room with a cracked satellite dish and one officer, Constable Aguirre. Young, nervous, and with a constant tremor in his right hand. He recognized the photograph immediately. He said the victim's name was Vincent Thorne, an American archaeologist, disappeared 5 days ago. He had been researching undocumented moai on the island's far side, ones hidden by time, jungle, and silence. But what made Aguirre pause was something else. He pulled a folder from a locked drawer and laid it out. 7 disappearances in the last month, all foreign. All researchers, hikers, photographers, people who came here to observe. All vanished after visiting sites that don't appear on the official island maps. And each one had reported strange dreams days before vanishing. Eyes carved into walls, chanting from underground. Stone mouths whispering in languages they didn't know. This wasn't a single murder. This was a pattern, a ritual, and it was building towards something. Aguirre didn't want to help. He wanted me off the island, said I still had a chance to leave, that the others hadn't. But I couldn't leave. Not now. Before I walked out, he handed me something he'd been too afraid to open. A sealed envelope addressed in red ink. To me, James Pierce. Inside was a single photo. Me again. This time standing at the base of a massive moai I hadn't seen before. Carved into its chest was the same phrase from the journal. 7th sun, 7th blood. Eyes to stone. The reverse of the photo held a flight number. The return ticket I hadn't booked. And a date. 3 days from now. Someone was planning for me to die here. But I've never been good at playing victim. Time to start digging. And I don't mean just in the dirt. By nightfall, I reached the far side of the island. No paved roads, no tourists, just cliffs, overgrowth, and wind that howled like it had lungs. The jungle grew denser until I found it, half buried beneath vines and volcanic stone, a moai statue I'd never seen before. Unlike the others, this one didn't face the sea. It faced inward, toward the island's heart. Its mouth had been carved open in a scream, and its eyes, gouged hollow, were packed with dried red clay. This was the site in the photo. and as I stepped closer, I felt it. That sudden shift in air pressure. That presence you can't explain, like something was watching from below the soil. I found a stone hatch near the base of the statue, unmarked, almost invisible. It groaned open when I pushed. Beneath the statue was a tunnel, carved by hands, not machines, lit by old torches still burning, and walls lined with eyes, thousands of them, carved into the stone, watching me as I descended. I didn't know how far I went. Time stretched. The air got colder. Then I heard it. A low hum. Voices chanting. Words I couldn't place, but rhythms I recognized. Ritual cadence. I reached a chamber lit by fire and red wax. 7 people stood in a circle, hooded, silent. At the center, a stone altar. On it, another photo of me. Above it, a mirror, cracked down the center. But my reflection wasn't there. Instead, it was Vincent Thorne, eyes blackened out, mouth sewn shut. I stepped forward and the chanting stopped. One figure stepped out, removed their hood. It was the innkeeper, the woman who checked me in. But her eyes were completely white. No pupils, no irises. Just empty white staring into me. "You came as we foresaw," she whispered. "You are the 7th, the vessel, the final observer." I raised my gun. "I'm no vessel. Just a man with questions." Her smile cracked too wide, like her skin didn't fit. "You don't understand. You were chosen because you see. That's what you do. You observe. You document. You remember." I looked around. Each figure had a camera hanging from their neck. Old film models. One of them had a journal with my name etched on the cover. They weren't killing randomly. They were collecting witnesses, preserving them, sacrificing them so their visions could remain in this place forever. Etched in stone, burned in shadow, echoed in dream. "You think I'm afraid of death?" I asked. "You've got the wrong detective." "No," she said calmly. "We know you're not afraid. That's why you're perfect." She lunged, but I was faster. One shot to the shoulder, another to the torch behind her. The chamber ignited with smoke and flame. I turned, grabbed the journal with my name, and ran. The others followed, but this place was a maze, and I'd already memorized the way in. The moai hatch was closing, slowly, groaning on its hinges. I barely made it through. The hatch sealed shut behind me with a final, grinding thud. When I reached Shigure, I didn't explain much. Just handed him the journal, told him to keep it locked up, and not to return to that part of the island. The statue? I marked it on a map, buried it in the hotel floorboards, and left it behind. Some places aren't meant to be found again. Case closed. I left Easter Island the next morning. No one stopped me. No one followed. But I couldn't sleep on the flight back, because I had taken one photo, just one, with my phone before I left the moai. This morning, I looked at it again. 7 moai now faced inward. But when I took it, there had only been 6.